support I've seen recently outside of Marincess is in combo decks, it resets your once per turn effects.
That's really cool, yeah.
Yeah, so you can reset things like, I think Pendulum plays it quite a lot, Draco Slayer, Pendulum. You reset your Ignisters.
Oh, that's fun, because none of those have, they're all just once per turn while they're on the field, right?
Yeah, so you banish like both Ignisters, they come back, and then they summon again from the deck, so that's kind of the idea with Zelantis. But jumping into the game here, Mark is actually winning the dice roll and gets to go first here, so you probably get to witness the full one-card combo here. Well, he's drawn both Pascalos and Marincess Blue Tank, so what we're probably going to see is an end field of something like Argonaut Toad with the Search Trap card, as well as the Recursion from the graveyard. So actually not a bad start here from Mark.
Do you think like it's a good sign when you play your first card and your opponent like picks it up and reads it?
Picking up every card to read
like,
here.
what does that do?
Yeah.
You probably you're caught on that your opponent doesn't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
Which is an advantage of taking a less popular deck, right? Even if they're like perceived to be less powerful, it does mean that it's less likely your opponent will know how to properly deal with what you're doing.
Yeah, they're not really going to know exactly how your cards work. You know, they might not know the perfect choke points and such. But here we go, we're activating the Blue Slug as probably Chainlink 1 here. Recurs back the Sea Horse or Sea Star, I forget the name, to add back to your hand. And then in Chainlink 2, Blue Tank actually excavates the top 3 cards of your deck. And if you hit a Marincess card among them, then you get to add it to your hand. So here you see he adds Spring Girl, which is another extender. That's kind of the theme of Cyberse, as I mentioned, is like they all special summon, they all keep going. And that's really the name of the game, is just put up as much as you can to, you know, restrict your opponent. Well, maybe not restrict your opponent, but, you know, have some sort of field presence backed up by your hand traps.
I feel like these decks are just very difficult to stop once they get going, because it's so efficient. Like, even if you try and negate one of the effects, they've still got the monster in play.
They still keep the body,
Yeah, the great thing about, like, if you've got like a Link 1, then all of your monsters have this sort of like bonus effect, if you like.
This is one of the advantage to a deck like Marincess, is because of the fact that there is a lot of hand traps in your deck, and because it's a format that is filled with hand traps, Crossout becomes quite popular.
We've seen this a lot, well, this weekend on our feature matches, this Crossout Designator, a lot of players have been running it.
So I think it's kind of interesting there that Pasha actually recognized that that was a very good point to stop your opponent. There's an argument to make where you could potentially just infinite impermanence the Pascalos normal summon, because there isn't really too many ways to keep going from there unless you've hard drawn extenders. But it didn't really matter since he had Crossout, so Pasha isn't really going to do much for the rest of his turn here.
I reckon he doesn't need to read Bahamut Shark. That card's been around for ages. Once Toad came out, that became an unbelievable card.
Yeah, I didn't see what he searched with the Ocean. Sorry, the other Link one. I forgot, Sea Angel. So it's either like the emergency teleport style card that Marincess got in their most recent wave of support. Haha, wave. See what I'm saying? Get it? Anyway. So they've got that going for them. And then once you've gone through this line here, you get to activate Desires and deck thin after you've done that, and then draw 2 cards.
Yeah, that's always good. Yeah, once you've like searched out a lot of your engine, you can activate Polar Desires, so you're more likely to draw into those defensive interruptions for your opponent's turn.
Yeah, this is one of the few decks that can utilize Totally Awesome. You know, with the loss of Ronin Toadin, it's pretty hard to make Toad these days.
You can do it in Sprite, it's just hard work.
Yeah, you got to do some like funky Reproducus plays, which a little bit awkward sometimes.
Well, they use the new Bujin.
That works as well, yeah.
I can't remember. Arachuda? Okay,
yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
This is why I was a little bit confused on his Desires, by the way, because he didn't use his last search, which was the Coral Triangle. So this is the one of the more recent cards as well for Marincess. It adds a Marincess card from your deck to your hand, a Marincess trap card specifically, so Wave, your best one. It's essentially like a Widow Anchor in a sense, similar to Sky Striker.
So you're saying it would have made more sense to do the search first, just in case you draw it or banish it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just more deck thinning, right? So I'm sure he did it for a reason. Oh, okay, so he's not going to climb up into Argonaut. Interesting. Unless I'm forgetting Argonaut's materials, I feel like the Bahamut Shark can just be linked away with the Coral Triangle, but it looks like we're just going to opt for the equips here onto the Coral Triangle and pass it up. So the advantage of the trap card is that you do get to use it on your opponent's turn from your hand if you control the Link 3, and it also makes your, I think it makes all your waters, or at least all your Marincess monsters, unaffected for the turn.
Unaffected by your opponent's card effects?
Yeah.
That's quite a lot to deal with.
Yeah, so it doesn't, you look at this and you feel like it doesn't look like a lot, but it is actually quite a tough nut to crack here, despite having, I guess not like your typical sort of crazy Appaloosa, Baron, Savage kind of field, right?
Yeah, some decks are quite fun. Instead of like making, oh, it looks like though.
No, I think he is going for link play here.
Is the field spell, you can only use it once per turn?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, so I think he just wanted to trigger numerous effects of the, like the anemone again, but I think that's a once per turn. Okay, I'm sure there's a reason for this, to go into the link for Argonaut after the field spell, because Argonaut doesn't get to negate without the equips here. I guess he's checking to see if it is once per turn, and maybe it is once per turn. I'm just remembering this.
Well, I guess we'll see shortly. Pash is just checking if it's once per turn as well. Ah, it doesn't look like it.
Okay, it is. It's not once per turn then. All right, that makes sense.
Sometimes I guess, yeah, a lot of card effects you kind of assume would be once per turn aren't necessarily, and it's good to remember those.
Okay, all right. I don't know what the point is of doing that, to be fair, is. Maybe it's to sort of block the chain of the Search of Coral Triangle, because I think it might be on summon. But
Might also be just to see if you can provoke some weird response from your opponent. You're like, it's always worth it.
all right, so that's pretty cool. You've got the turn one combo that Mark wanted to definitely open with, especially after winning that dice roll through a hand trap as well. So let's see how Pasha's Dragon deck can deal with this.
So Pasha's on a deck with a lot of engine, which is kind of what you want against these decks where they kind of wall up in a sense. You know, they say, right, I'll have stuff for next turn, I'll put a bit of negate, a bit of this, my board's very difficult to deal with, a bit of this, a bit of that. But when you want to be playing like a kind of big deck like Dragons, rather than maybe another similar style deck which can't necessarily push through so much. But I feel like Dragon Link has got the tools to push through a lot of interruptions and setup.
Yeah, you're 100% right. If there's one deck that can push through disruption quite well, it's you know, things like Wyver Burster, Collapse Serpent, all of these grave effects that trigger. Pretty good at trying to push through that. Bestials, I suppose, are the best counterpart for Dragons, but not exactly great in this matchup.
I feel like, yeah, in Dragon Link, like, Bestials are like normally just quite strong. I mean, Magma still searches you any dragon in the end phase. It's still a very powerful effect. When you get to like banish your opponent's cards as well, they just go on another level of how strong they are.
That's a very good normal summon. Black Metal Dragon gets to protect the Striker Dragon when you link it off to search for your Boot Sector launch. So this is.
No, I did not. I thought it was just you just summoned it and searched, and it searched your Red Eyes. It does more things than that.
Yeah, like when it goes to the graveyard.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it searches Red Eyes.
Yeah, I know it searches Red Eyes.
Yeah.
Well, does it protect something as well?
Yeah, the Striker Dragon effect. Because you go Chainlink 1 Striker Dragon, Chainlink 2 Red Eyes.
So we can't ash it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I thought you meant it like if something was summoned with it, that it had some protection.
No. Not quite.
Yeah, okay.
So the set card there was called by the grave, so he had 2 ways to insulate himself against hand traps. Not as well, including the cross out. So, oh, that's huge. Oh, was that a Levianeer we discarded?
It's very hard when the card goes straight to the graveyard to see what it is. It looks like a dragon. I'll call it that much.
Yeah, Chaos Space is definitely like the negate you want to use Argonaut on. So Argonaut, as mentioned, it negates a spell trap effect. Oh, we hard drew the Collapse Serpent. Sorry, the Wyver Burster.
It was a Levianeer.
Very awesome. Fantastic.
That's amazing because it lets you banish, which lets you put a card back and draw once more for the Chaos Space. Even though the Chaos Space was negated, it still gets a decent amount of value.
I quite like recycling the Collapse Serpent or Wyver Burster after I've linked, but I suppose it makes sense because in a situation like this, maybe you just need as many cards as possible to try force out your opponent's wave or the Toad.
Sometimes drawing earlier is better because you want to like see what you draw before you commit to something. I mean, in this case, I do agree. It does seem a bit strange because you could link summon and then you'd search out your Collapse Serpent and then you could put a card back and then you wouldn't accidentally draw the Collapse Serpent, which is a risk you do if you do it in this order. Yeah.
So deciding what to link into here, I would assume Romulus.
It looks like that's what he's hovering over.
Yeah, there isn't really a lot of crazy good Link 2s that can threaten here, although Quad Boro was a very, very good card against Link decks in that it special summons all of the rocket monsters back from your graveyard. equal to the link rating of the monster, so we could see that at some point through this matchup, but still no access to rocket monsters yet, which is what he's hoping to do with this Dragon Ravine.
Yeah, I did see an Absa Router in his hand, so that's perfect to discard with Dragon Ravine. Twice the value.
It's a bit of a weird decision to make with the Toad, I suppose, since it's pretty much your last line of really strong defense against dragons because of generic sort of monster negate of the trap card. Might not be like amazing.
Yeah, against like decks which go link summon a lot, then effect negation, it has to be timed very well to be useful, because oftentimes, you know, when you, in a link deck, right, you have the effect of your monster and then you get the bonus of using it as a link material. So just negating the effect sometimes isn't enough. That looked like a Saronir to me, but again, we have to play this slight guessing game. If it's a Saronir, then he'll be going back into his deck and sending either a Branded Spell Trap or a Bestial Lubellion, maybe.
I think hard drawing the Absa Router actually worked out quite nicely because you discard it for cost and it still gets you your search here. So I think he's noticed actually that by negating the Absa Router with Toad, it means that it cuts off the rocket engine. And Dragon, I feel like maybe doesn't do like a ton of crazy things without access to Tracer. So I think he probably just wanted to stop that before it got really bad. However, you mentioned he sent the Saronir, so that gives him access to the Lubellion.
If he's got a Bestial that he can tribute for it, right? Well, it has to tribute a level 6.
He needs to be a high
dragon,
level monster,
yeah.
right?
Or maybe it's just any level 6. Yeah, I thought it was a level 6 dragon. I might be making it up though.
Okay, so this is kind of cool because I think you can make Pisty in... Yeah, there it is.
Oh, I like that. I was thinking, like, where was he going to go from here? But this is a very nice line.
Yeah, because Argonaut is giving you a zone. You actually have a zone that Pisty points to, provided by your Romulus, and so you actually get to keep extending and bring back a banished monster here.
That's really powerful.
Yeah, there's that Saronir, and for the Bestial Lubellion is now going to be able to special itself to the field. There it is.
Really nice play by Pasha here.
I want to, but just in general, I feel like Pasha looks really familiar to me, and I feel like I want to say I've seen him in a Dragon Link deck profile before. So I wouldn't really be surprised. He's piloting this quite expertly.
Yeah, that would make sense. Is there still a wave in the hand of Mark? He's not used it yet, right?
Yeah, which is a good point.
Because I feel like wave on Pisty would be a pretty reasonable time to use it, but maybe he's just...
He must have searched wave, right? Like, we did go into Coral.
Yeah.
So...
I mean, there's a chance he banished both of them with Pot of Desires.
Which I suppose begs the question again, why...
Why would you do that first, yeah.
Okay, goes for Beast instead of the Regained, which is... You know, I mean, I guess there's an argument for both. I'm not too sure if we're going to banish any more cards this turn. But, you know, Beast is a great card. It's just tribute, destroy. Always love to see that. Do we have enough for Boral End? I don't think so.
Well, he's got 4 links in play at the moment. I don't think there's any link monsters in his extra deck that will just give him a bonus monster after he's used Pisty. But I don't know what the last card in his hand is.
What do you go for here?
Seal. Seal's all, it's not ideal. Oh, I like this as well. You can tribute it for the Branded Beast, yeah.
Wow, okay. Checking his grave here to...
Is there any protection for this, or can it just be destroyed?
So some of the Marincess monsters do have grave effects. I want to say Pascalos maybe does something. But this one isn't unaffected. He didn't make it with the Crystal Heart, so this is definitely not like a tower-style monster. So I'm pretty sure this should still resolve here.
I feel like there's an awful lot of cards nowadays. Like, for example, I'm thinking of Branded Opening in particular, where it does something and then it just has a bonus effect in your graveyard. Like,
yeah, just for
if
no
something
reason.
would be destroyed, you can banish this instead.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of the Marincess cards have that kind of effect, but... So it looks like he chose to destroy the Branded Beast and summon a very, very shiny Starliege Safer.
Huh. So the card destroyed on the field now is the field with the Branded Beast, or...
Yeah, it looked like he initially pointed
to Argonaut, right?
Yeah. Maybe it was not allowed to be targeted for some reason?
No, the field spell only offers protection, I'm fairly certain, if it was made specifically with Crystal Heart, which it wasn't. But regardless, we're going to continue here into the battle phase, and Lubellion's going to attack over the Argonaut. And remember, that's a 0 attack Sephir, which is strange why he didn't summon Tracer. off of.
Well,
the
Saber's
seal.
got a graveyard effect now, right? So maybe that's what he wanted.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it was better to do
Yep.
something else, but this
Yeah,
is what he was aiming for.
But that's the thing. It's like I feel like getting Tracer was still much better, right? At least you could make like a Savage at a minimum.
I mean, this is nice because you get Magnamut and you need a Bestial in play to have your branded Beast live next turn.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I can see there's definitely merit to summoning the Tracer.
All right, so that's a Saronir that we're adding to the hand here.
No, Saren is
Is
getting
this the end
banished
phase?
for
Okay, we're
Magnamut.
banishing for Magnamut. We're still in the main phase.
Yeah, and then Magnamut will get a search in the end phase, maybe for another Lubellion. It's kind of cool how you can just like loop, like Magnamut can't search Magnamut, but it could just search Lubellion, which just searches Magnamut anyway. So.
Yeah. A really cool search here against Marincess would be Phantasme, hypothetically. I wonder if Dragon players should probably side like one copy of that.
I think I've seen it in some people's side decks actually, the Phantasme.
Gosh, remember when that card was like staple in like 2019?
Well,
Everyone wanted it.
I think like pre-Master Rule 5, when all decks that wanted to use the extra deck had to use Link Monsters,
Yeah.
I think it was a very reasonable choice. I love this setup actually from Pasha because he's got the Druid Worm, which has that effect when it's sent to the graveyard to send a card on the field, your opponent's special summon monster in your opponent's field to the graveyard. So having the Masquerena gives you like an extra way of triggering your Druid Worm.
I was just double checking his deck list because I wanted to see if Pasha was playing a cheeky Underworld Goddess to use his opponent's Link as a material, but it doesn't look like he actually runs that card.
I do like a good Underworld Goddess. So what's the kind of follow-up game of Marincess like? Do you think like we're going to see a turn as explosive as that turn one?
Yeah, potentially. It's just a question of what this Masquerena can really achieve. The thing that's really sort of tough here is like if you already have a body with Marincess, then I think you're okay. But if he was hypothetically just like normal summoning, I think he would really struggle to deal with something like Masquerena into Unicorn and the Bestial trap card.
Well, there's also the Druid Worm, so
Yeah, this is a spin and a send,
yeah.
and then the normal summon can just be popped. So I think Pasha's actually in a really good spot here.
Is the Send will...
It still triggers the anemone.
I was gonna try and remember the name of the Marincess monster there. I was gonna say maybe he should have done it the other way around, and then he wouldn't have got a card back from his graveyard.
I think Mark can still stick a monster though because they can add back Pascalos, which I think he might already have access to, but it looks like he's targeting the field spell with anemone.
Maybe he feels like he's got enough monsters to get through the branded beast.
I'd be very surprised if you can play through Branded Beast without Pascalos. Okay, so he already has it. That makes sense. All right. So, what did you notice his discards for the? Oh wow! So we're gonna start exactly like we did for turn one.
Bit of deja vu. Pasha this time, rather than having a hand of 5 cards, has got a hand of 0 cards. So
The discard was that Driver?
oh yeah, Driver got discarded. Everyone's drawn Driver. Let's just start featuring people who don't run Driver.
I think we've seen more Drivers than Arise Hearts so far on stream.
We've seen more Drivers than Gammas, that's for sure.
This is really good. This is really good. We get to... oh, he's playing Mandarin. Okay. I see a lot of people sometimes cut Mandarin. It's a little bit more awkward to set up, especially like going second here. It basically summons itself to a zone I think a Marincess points to.
So I guess if you're going second, you might not necessarily get that Marincess Link monster to stick.
Yeah. Okay, so the branded beast is going to destroy the blue Tang, and then we're going to go Pascalos, link away into a link 1 for the Sea Angel, and then Sea Angel should probably search the dive.
Just to check from Mark. It's always a good habit to make sure you check your ban. If you've activated Pot of Desires, just check that you've not banished the card you're intending to search.
Still has a copy, so that's really important here. And has the field spell, by the way. So this makes dive an emergency teleport, essentially. So you get to special summon from your deck if you control a link monster, and if you already have the field spell. And it looks like he's going for Spring Girl. I don't think he's playing Sleepy. No, he's not playing Sleepy. But the Blue Tang is summoned here. Remember, we haven't used the Grave effect of Blue Tang because it was destroyed by the Bestial. So we do get to still excavate here.
Actually, just kind of looking. I don't think he knows what to expect here, but I mean, it looks like Mark can just do a full repeat almost of his turn 1 combo, right?
Does Pasha not have any cards at all in his hand?
No, he used his whole hand.
Yeah, okay, so the Magnamut searched the Saranir, which was just immediately summoned, right?
It was Druid's Worm, yeah, in the end
Druid's Worm,
phase,
yeah. Okay, so this is actually really bad because now he's been completely depleted of resources. So all Mark really has to do here is just clear Unicorn. And Pasha's essentially top decking.
Yeah, I mean, if you can clear the Branded Beast as well, that would be even better.
Ideally, right? Because if you top deck a Bestial, which could, is not exactly the, craziest ask, you do have Lebellion in the graveyard.
So yeah, some resources for Pasha, but not many, I would say. Kind of dwindling. But maybe both of the traps were banished. Maybe that's what's going on here, because Mark didn't use either of the Marincess wave.
He must have banished wave.
Yeah.
One thing I'm noticing as well, he didn't activate Coral Triangle in the graveyard at the start of his turn, or when he had 0 cards.
He never had 0 cards though at the start of his turn. He had monsters in play.
Yeah, but Pasha cleared them, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
He went it was like Bestial plus Saranir wiped out, and then he normal summoned Pascalos.
Yeah.
So before he normal summoned Pascalos, there was a window to activate Coral Triangle.
Yeah. And Coral Triangle, what? If you have no monsters, you can banish it to summon 2 back?
I think you banish equal to Link 3, or you special summon equal to Link 3 from your graveyard.
Oh, okay. So you can summon 3 monsters? Or it has to be Link monsters?
Yeah, I think you can summon 3 Link ones. It has to be Link monsters.
Oh, okay. Because that would be very easy to summon equal to Link 3.
Okay, so it's clearly not going to be too much of a problem, regardless
of more Link monsters, then you're kind of never out of stuff. So it looks like whatever went wrong has been resolved.
Yeah, it looks like that's been fixed here, and I think we're also under a time extension, I believe, is what's happened here.
Yeah, it's nice that we can do that. So if there's a judge call, then the players can have a few extra minutes to make up for the lost time to resolve the judge call.
Yep. All right, so Anemone with a blue slug underneath, and we just pretty much need to try and deal with make something bigger than a unicorn, and we should be kind of good here. I'm trying to think if there's a way we can remove Branded Beast from the field, because that's...
Is that something in the Marincess arsenal?
Removal, I don't want to say yes, honestly. They have monster removal, there's Kragan, that's really cool. But in terms of removing trap cards, it's going to be a little hard. They can negate with Argonaut, but that's kind of gone here.
I mean, if you have a way to deal with a monster effect, you can just stop your opponent from summoning a Bestial, right? As long as you can set up 1 negation, you're probably going to be okay.
We got Marbled Rock, which is, a strong monster. It's powerful in the sense that it gets really big with the field spell, and it gives you that recursion. Every turn, you can just target up a card in your graveyard and add it back to your hand. Any Marincess card.
Is that a second Pot of Desires? That always feels like a bit of a gambit when you're activating the second copy of Pot of Desires in a game.
4 cards left in deck from Mark there.
He must feel like he really needs the extra resources.
I feel like against dragons, you want to make, because the game is, I want to say, pretty much in Mark's favor, and so he just needs to hold on for like another turn or 2.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's rare the game's going to go on another 5 turns, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything you particularly need in your deck.
So he's obviously just digging for answers for the trap cards, or for okay.
Maybe that's what he was digging for. He's going to draw 2, just really play with us a bit.
Okay, actually steals the unicorn here. So we can deal a lot of damage and then link it off maybe for Bubble Reef.
Do the Link 4s require water monsters only?
I'd have to check specifically, but I think some of them do just say Marincess or water plus monster. Okay. We'll see what he does in main phase 2.
Maybe we'll trust Mark that he knows what he can link.
Talents, doesn't really have any other option here other than draw, and I don't think you want to do that.
And your opponent's hand is empty, so I guess.
Yeah.
At worst you can make Zelantis, right? I think that's generic.
Yeah, that's
just
a good point.
1+ monsters.
Yeah, and it is water, so Zelantis is probably a decent shout here if there's no other way to get rid of this unicorn. That is.
And the field spell, does it boost your monster for having equipped?
Yeah, I think it's 600 attack for each equip onto it.
That adds up quite fast, actually.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's 2,200 plus whatever the Marble Rock is, another plus 1,800, so it's at least 4,000. Do you think Mark has the tools to put the extra what, 2,000 damage that he's missing in play?
So he's committed his normal summon, his Spring Girl, his Pascalos. I don't think there's any way you can keep doing more damage here.
Okay.
1,300 life points, it looks like, is what Pasha's left with. Yeah, that's a big, huge hit from the marble drop. But it's still not game. So
it's very thematic somehow. It does feel like a big wave when you've got like one linked monster with all of the others attached to it, well, equipped to it. Somehow feels quite intimidating.
All right, so linked off here for, it does look like Zelantis is the play.
Zelantis doesn't offer any interruption on your opponent's turn, right?
No, I don't think so.
But he's still got a huge hand.
Yeah, I mean that's why like Marincess is really good. I suppose it gives you like so much card advantage, and coupled with the hand traps, you're never really gonna struggle in a grind game. It's just if you will get overwhelmed by raw power, I think is really what Marincess will ever struggle with.
But I guess Pash is, he's got one card versus the world. That's an effect veiler, so that's probably not it.
Not great.
What was the effect veiler discarded for?
Dragon Ravine.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Oh, no, effect veiler into safer, yep. Well, Dragon Ravine. So he's got plays, actually, so given he's got the Dragon Ravine, any card was actually a Bestial. We were talking that he needed to stop a Bestial, but in fact, any card can turn into a Bestial, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, Sephert adds back any high-level monster from the graveyard, and I suppose like Magnamut is just like enough here, banishing a card, special summoning itself, and then you can clear the Zelantis, but I mean, it's just like Mark has so much recursion and follow-up, so unless you win this turn, which is going to be almost nigh impossible, I don't know what you do here.
It's definitely a tall order. I mean, the Branded Regain should give you some extra gas. But yeah, I don't know what the most efficient cards you need to remove are. So you can activate Magnamut, and then get Lubellion, and then get Branded Regain. And Branded Regain does generate an awful lot of advantage. So if Mark's not careful, it could end up spiraling out of control a bit. But I suppose it depends what interruptions he has. See, that is possibly a mistake. I don't know if you're supposed to chain the Branded Beast there. Because if you chain the Branded Beast, obviously the Magnamut will dodge the impermanence, but Pasha would rather keep around the Magnamut so he can tribute it for Lubellion, which is a totally reasonable thing to do.
Yeah, no, you're completely right here.
Choosing which zone. How big is Zelantis?
I want to say 25. How big's Lubellion?
Lubellion's definitely 25. I knew that. That's why I was asking how big Zelantis was. Yeah. Lubellion's 25 and 3k. 25 attack, 3k defense. Branded Regain, yeah, as I was saying, it generates so much. So every time your opponent, once per turn if your opponent special summons a monster, you can special summon a Bestial from your graveyard, so you can get that Magnamut back and search even more cards. And then...
Also guarantees that your trap card's always live.
Exactly. And every time light or dark monster is banished, again once per turn, you can return their light or dark monster that's banished and draw a card. So return it to the bottom of the deck and draw a card. So it's quite a lot of value all out of one card if it sticks to the board.
All right, draw for turn here. 2 cards left in Mark's deck, and we just need to do 1,300. It's not completely impossible. Is it on normal summon you get to reborn?
Yeah, normal.
Even on normal,
summon.
okay.
I think it has to summon in defense mode, but it looks like I was wrong. It's nice because it gives you that Magnamut effect, and it gives you an option to tribute for Beast. But obviously if you tribute for Beast, then there's nothing protecting your life points from just being attacked.
Yeah, the issue is, like, I'm not sure if Mark can actually continue through a normal summon disruption here. He would have to exactly have Spring Girl, and I don't recall if he added it back, because that's the only other way you can special summon in this deck. So we'll see if he does anything about this. He's actually checking his graveyard here, which means I want to say that this is an open game state, and we haven't used the Beast in the normal summon.
Yeah.
So the reason why I feel like he might be struggling here is because he might be out of slugs. Actually, let me check.
He's definitely he's got 2 slugs in his extra deck, and he's used 2?
He's used 2, and I think he's used 2 angels. So I think he just doesn't have a Link 1.
Well, most of the time, I guess you'd think 4 is enough.
Is this end phase or is this in response? Okay, it is in response to the summon, I suppose, yeah.
Oh wow, and is this just game?
Yeah, so this whole time he was checking to see if his opponent had anything in his go. Yeah, so that is game, you know, the ocean there.
And then you know that they're probably not going to have too much to hit you with.
Yeah.
Because realistically, your opponent cannot be siding spell and trap removal against... I mean, maybe they can, I don't know. It seems like an odd thing to do against a combo deck, though, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree. Oh, Pasha lets him start, it looks like. Okay, we'll see how far Mark's one-card combo goes here, because if there's one good singular monster you want to draw in Marincess, it is literally just Marincess Blue Tang.
So how important is hitting off this excavate?
You don't need to hit.
You don't need to hit
It's just a nice bonus. I guess if you hit Spring Girl, it's really good because you get to make rank 4. Okay, that's the one Marincess card I don't know. We'll see what it does eventually, but yeah, that is the singular Marincess card that I don't know the effect of. We'll see if it's another extender. It probably is. Okay, so Slug adds back the Sea Star. Seahorse adds this back to Special Summon, goes into Angel. Angel gets a search for a spell and trap. Field spell or dive. Probably dive since we didn't open 2 monsters. Oh, never mind. What do I know? He's going for the field spell.
Do you think going second, like the time on the round, has anything left to do with it?
But then you're basically conceding to the fact that you want to play for a draw, right?
Yeah, I know. But it just seems like, you know, you need... Sometimes if there's not too much time left, you do need a battle phase to do that damage.
Okay. Yeah, I suppose so. That's a good point. Okay, so we hard drew dive, that's why we got the field spell. And that's really good because the Pascalos special summon from the deck just allows you to bring out the other Marincess monster, who I feel like the only relevancy here is that it's level 4, so that's fine.
You never know, maybe it does something amazing when it's detached to activate an XYZ monster's effect. You know?
Yeah, there's Bahamut Shark for the Toad. This is the last opportunity Pasha has to activate a card effect before that Totally Awesome hits the field.
And he does have a card effect he might want to activate. But
yeah, he's got to go for something.
I did see a big rock looking thing. In
1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's Toad on 5 actually. Wait, no. 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, there's
5,
2 linked ones.
6. That's
play,
yeah. Shark is level. Shark is summon number 6. So if it was Nibiru, he should have used it. So so he doesn't have it.
No, he's definitely got it.
What?
I definitely saw Nibiru in his hand.
Really?
Yeah.
Shark was 5, right? At least it must have been.
I believe you. I think all of these things are true.
Why didn't we Nibiru then?
Maybe he has an infinite impermanence or something. Maybe it's me who's wrong, but I was very confident I saw a Nibiru in his hand.
Okay, all right, well.
But maybe I've just been dreaming about Nibiru, you know, being a combo player.
You got some nightmares.
Yeah.
I think the issue with, or rather the alternative with Nibiru is like, I guess like I've seen people like hold it until like the end of the turn because it doesn't matter how many negates your opponent puts up. Well, it matters how many negates they put up. It doesn't matter how much they put up. If it's just like 1 negate plus their full combo, you just go like, okay, end of main Nibiru, they negate chain Imperm or something. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Sometimes people do that, but
I think sometimes I guess you just say, okay, we'll just trade with one of their negates, and that'll have to do.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mark always does this, and I never understand why. I guess I'm just not smart enough to see the interaction here, but I think it might be a chain link ordering thing, which is the Coral Angel plus the field spell.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we can ask him afterwards.
Yeah.
But I guess like if it doesn't cost you anything, you might as well do it just to annoy your opponent a bit.
Okay, so this is the Coral Triangle effect here. Discard send a Marincess card from your hand to the graveyard, and then you get to add the Marincess Wave, which I'm honestly kind of shocked that we're not seeing it until now. But there it is. Didn't search at turn 1 because that was a Desires incident, I feel. Must have been what happened.
Most likely. Maybe he liked the cards in his hand, because you have to discard a card.
Yeah, but it's free because you add back a monster with Anemone. So you always have a way to resolve your Coral Triangle.
Yeah, and he definitely had a Marincess card or 2 in his hand, right?
Yeah. All right, Link 4 play here. Argonaut, spell and trap negate, plus all of the equips here, gets to revive Anemone if we negate the spell card, plus the Totally Awesome negate, and the unaffected by card effect protection of...
yeah, well, Gamma.
I did kind of mention it. But I really feel like it's too greedy. I feel like it's so greedy because now you let your opponent go into Coral Triangle, which means they have like, the full recursion. of their graveyard, and they also search the trap card. So, you know, while you are probably done for the turn, if you survive, you have Coral Triangle in the graveyard, and you've essentially just let your opponent get to Soul Charge, when I think it would have just been safer to nib on Bahamut. And end phase Magnamut to search.
That is crazy. I don't think I've seen that. It's quite a fun interaction, like the fact that you tribute your own Gamma with Nib, meaning you get a few lights and darks in your graveyard.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see what you mean. I guess maybe it's a like a matchup thing, which is you don't actually know what your opponent's doing, and you don't know whether it's better to interrupt them early or wait. And I guess if you see Nib and Gamma, you just think, maybe I'll just wait until the end of the turn because I can force through this Nibiru. Yeah, maybe that was the plan.
Could do. It's hard to tell just how proficient people are with Marincess cards specifically, but Pasha looks like he's very confident here. There isn't really much in way of disruption for Mark except a singular set card. It could be the bluffed wave that we search with Coral Triangle, or it could actually be a real card like Imperm or Call by the Grave. I think we saw him use in the last game.
So are you required to control a Marincess Link monster to activate Wave?
Yep.
Okay. I was just wondering, because it gets like bonus effects, right, depending on what link you control?
Yeah, so I think, I'm not sure what the Link 1 bonus effect is. I don't know if there is actually a bonus effect. Link 2 bonus effect is that it makes your monsters unaffected, or waters, or the Marincess unaffected. Link 3 bonus is that you get to use it from your hand if you control Link 3. Oh, is this a Chaos Angel?
You need a Link 1.
Did we use a tuner with for that? We didn't, right?
Nah, of course not. Who uses a tuner for Chaos Angel?
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's game, okay. Very cool.
He's moving fast.
Yeah, I mean, let's have a look. Game number 3. It's all to play for. Mark versus Pasha on Dragon Link against Marincess. Let's see how this one plays out. I'm very excited to see.
I'm very excited. This game has been really back and forth. It's been very close.
Okay, Mark did choose to go first, all things considered. Effect Veiler comes down on Blue Tang, which I don't think is very... Oh, Droll and Logbird and Imperm. Wow, that's a hard choice here.
What do you take? Do you go after your opponent's engine, or do you go after their... He's taking the Droll.
Yeah, he did. You do add a decent amount in this deck. I wouldn't want to be able to... I wouldn't want my Sea Angel to end there. Because he definitely wants to get Wave at some point as well, so... Let's see if Marincess hit... Oh, there's Blue Tang! Spring Girl, sorry, off the Blue Tang. Okay, we might see a bonus burn damage here. It depends. We'll see what happens with this Spring Girl. But if he links it off and plays it well, he should be able to do some amount of damage here and put himself in the lead.
Pasha's got to go very quickly here.
Yeah.
He can't take any time to make any decisions, really.
So it still has an infinite impermanence in the hand here. And there isn't really anywhere to use it that's like amazingly like sort of clutch. Pascalos here would be okay, but you still have Anemone. Here's the Spring Girl. Okay, right, so he's going to try and attempt to burn for at least 2 here. Let's see if this Spring Girl can hit a Marincess off the top.
So we have 2 cards coming off the top here. 1, 2...
And that's 200 damage. That is 200 damage by Spring Girl. So at an absolute minimum, Mark is now in the lead here.
It feels like, you know, to lose by 200 damage would feel very devastating, to be honest. It's so little.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yet, it all counts. It all adds up.
It would be enough. All right, Bahamut Shark is being activated here.
Pretty sound place to use Infinite Impermanence, because you're not going to get to use it if you don't use it there.
Just use it on Bahamut to make sure that you don't guarantee Toad. Link 3 here occurs, which is probably Coral Triangle. Although, it is kind of... I don't think you can extend past this unless you specifically draw on Horse or Sea Star. Why do I keep calling it Sea? It's Sea Star or Seahorse. It's an ocean-style amphibian. A foolish amphibian, one would say. Here's Marbled Rock, and Anemone will return something to the hand here. Okay, we're going to use the Equip here for the field spell, and also get a Sea Star back to the hand. Oh yeah, because that was the one we activated with Spring Girl, and then we get to special summon it. So we do get to guarantee a Link 4 play, just off of the back of those random excavates and mills. Really annoying, isn't it, if your opponent's sitting there with hand traps, right? Thinking they've hit the right things.
I mean, I think he has, but I guess again, it's just the power of the Link decks, I suppose, is that even if you negate the monster effects, you can still send them as a Link material. They've kind of got that extra bonus no matter what you do to them. So this is 1 spell and trap negation. And then wave has not been searched, and Pasha gets to go. Pasha's going very quickly here. I think maybe he'll slow down a bit. Oh my goodness, that's a top deck.
Huge.
Although, does it not just get negated?
Yeah, it can be. Now the question is, do you want to negate to, I mean, you probably do, depending on how good that set card is, but putting a monster in attack position here, which is significantly smaller than 4,200, or I don't know the exact stats of Argonaut, it's quite big. But now Marble Drock is on the field, and Marble Drock is 23, I want to say. So a Bestial could potentially be enough for game here.
Rebellion, send. Well, it could be 200 if Marble Drock's 23.
Okay, Saronir send, I think that was, Druid's Worm?
Yeah, so Druid's Worm sends.
Okay, and Lebellion places the trap
Does he
card
have a
face
light
up.
monster in his grave? Oh, he does now.
He's popping the...
Look at him, he's going so fast.
Yeah, no,
Look
he
at
needs
him.
to. Special summon, battle phase, attack, 2 seconds left on the clock. Does he take it?
Is the damage gone through?
I think it's connected. Pasha might just win on time here.
Wow, what a game.
I mean, okay, so now I suppose we're in main phase 2, and Pasha just, I suppose, ends his turn here, and that's the duel.
I mean, it looks like they were just both looking at the judge.
All right,
yeah.
wow, that is the end of the game.
Wow.
Wow.
Steal from Pasha there.
We're talking seconds on that, by the way.